Hello and welcome to another edition of the American Scouser podcast. With me today I have Tim and I also have Hilary here to discuss the upcoming Wolves game, the Christmas fixtures and a bit of the young starts who are going to be hopefully coming into the Liverpool team over the next few weeks. So I'll start with you, Tim. What do you think about the upcoming game tomorrow?
When we talked on Tuesday, I'm pretty optimistic because I have a feeling the Wolves are gonna come out. They're gonna come out to play. So if they do, I think that kind of like lets us play our game a lot more, and I think our lineup will kind of reflect that too. Like I expect to see Keita out there and stuff, either Keita or Shaqiri, like somebody in midfield that's offensive minded. I'm optimistic. My prediction on Tuesday was 4-1 us. I'm still going with that. I think this is a game where we start scoring the goals. By all means, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I mean, they're a good team. I just feel like the way they play will suit us to be able to play our game.
Yeah, for me, I think their midfield's really slow. I watch a lot of Wolves. I've got a lot of friends from that area, and I like Ruben Neves. But the one thing he's not blessed with is pace. João Moutinho again, and I think if you start with, as I say, with the Keita, Shaqiri, just a bit of trickery around them and a bit of pace, especially with Keita, I think Liverpool can get at them quite easy, to be honest. The only thing that worries me is that it's a Friday night at the Molineux. It's going to be loud, it's going to be cold. Liverpool are going to have to be really on the ball to win this game. If Liverpool go in this in second or third gear, we will lose this game. So for me, I think we have to really up the pace quick, get stuck into them. But I think we can, Liverpool, with the position we're in now and the way we're playing football, I don't worry about us anymore. So I think Liverpool can win this game comfortably. Yeah, what do you think, Hilary?
I think it's going to be, it's hard to tell just because I feel like we've had so many good games, back to back, and the momentum building and everything. So I feel like we're either going to start really strong and the game's going to go really well for us, or I think we have everything we need to pull out a win. But I just think that they, even though like one of their forwards is out, I think, and I just think that like it's going to have to be another game where everybody plays at 100% because I feel like they're the one team that isn't Man City that could probably really punish us for a mistake just because they've been doing so well against top teams. So I'm kind of nervous for it, but I still see us coming out with a win.
Yeah, for me, I can see both sides. I'll be more nervous if Liverpool don't score in the first 30 minutes. I think if we score early, I think you can win the game 2-3, 4-0. The one thing that Liverpool has developed in my opinion, over the last few weeks is that the fear factor playing us. No one wants to play us anymore. If that's what it feels like to me. The Wolves must be sitting there thinking, "Oh God, got to get up for this game." Again, they're in the same boat. It's cold. It's a Friday night. Anything can happen. I think if we score early, I think we can really get at them. I think it also sets a benchmark to City as well. And go on, then you've got to go win your game. Liverpool are 4 points clear. I think it's a huge, huge advantage this week, especially to play first. I understand that the fixture could be difficult, but to say to City that they've had the start that they've had, which is also an awesome start, like Liverpool, but you're 4 points behind the leaders, it's really knocks them down, in my opinion. It really makes them think, well, my God, these guys aren't going away. We've got to catch these guys, and we've got to, Liverpool under no pressure, in my opinion. It's all the pressure's on City to win the league. So, no, I think it's a big, big plus for Liverpool this weekend.
I don't know if I should say this, but I read it online earlier that I think if we win, then we're top of the table over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And no team that's been top of the table at Christmas hasn't won the league except for us.
That's correct. Yeah, we that is a true fact. I think we broke the Rafa Benitez 2009. We were the first team in English football to be top of top of Christmas and not win the league, and then we done it again under Jurgen Klopp 2 years ago when Mane went to the African Cup of Nations in January. Yeah, so Liverpool have done it twice. Funny enough. You know, we like to break all these little cycles, don't we, guys?
Yeah, normally after like a big win, I kind of worry about, how we're going to come out the next one. Because obviously it takes a lot emotionally, physically. And that was one of my concerns going into the Manchester United game, because I felt like after the Napoli game, it would be a drop-off. But before that, I thought, the couple of tough away games we won could cause a drop-off in the Napoli game. And, credit to Klopp, and I think the rotation constantly, putting out different rosters out there kind of helps the cause as well. But we haven't had that drop-off. So I feel like Klopp has the right attitude, and hopefully he's kind of like putting this on the guys that, we got to be hungry going out there every game. Nothing is given to us. And that's why I agree. If we start out fast tomorrow, and especially get an early goal, I think it could be. That's why I'm hoping we're gonna get a bunch of goals tomorrow, because I think that will open them up. They all normally as a team they play pretty open, and especially in midfield there'll be space. So I feel like we'll be able to get goals, and I'm pretty uncharacteristically optimistic about this one. So and then I agree with that kind of puts pressure on City. I mean, they don't have a tough game this week. They're playing Crystal Palace at home, who can be dangerous with Zaha and stuff like that. But you would think City would win that game. But I like the role of them chasing us, especially as we go into that game where we played them. Because when they came to Anfield, they were okay with the tie because they were getting the scores. They were. Mm-hmm. It's the first time we kind of saw them almost play defensive and, a lot more under control. I feel like if we go there above them, that kind of puts the pressure on them to win that game as opposed to us. So now we can play that role where we sit. And if they come after us when we sit, we know how dangerous that can be for them. That's when we get those goals on that team.
Yeah, I think this as well. I'm a big, Liverpool, for all intents and purposes, going to the City game with them 1 point clear, and they have to chase us. I know people don't want to hear this, but we can afford a loss, and you can be 2 points behind them. If you offer Jurgen Klopp now, end of April, you're 2 points behind City, would you take it? He'll go, yeah. I'll roll the dice. I really think you would. He might not say it, he's never going to come out and publicly say that, of course, but I really think if you'd asked him privately and said, would you roll the dice? 5 games to go, 2 points behind City. I think he would, and that's what Liverpool have got themselves into that position now. We forget as well. Also, in the first game against City, we were, 1 penalty away from losing the game, which, would have put a completely different spin on the season. And that's how league seasons are won. They're won on little moments. With Mahrez missing the penalty. Divock Origi. I could talk about that guy all day, but little things like that. So, we can't afford a loss. Of course, we've got to get there. But with Wolves, it can be difficult to play them well. They're a good side. For me, if Liverpool played anyone right now in the world, I'd back us to beat them. We're just that good at the moment, and then it's nice to have that feeling of I don't see a weakness in the side, really. And I'm going to throw this question out to you guys. I don't see a weakness, and of course, there's better players in certain positions around the world. You're Ronaldo, you're Messi. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a collective, I can look around teams around Europe and there's a weakness. So, for example, if I look at City, the left back, Mendy can't get fit. He plays Fabian Delph, who's a centre midfielder. Kevin De Bruyne can't get on the pitch. Of course, they got good players to replace them. I get that. So you look at Liverpool at the moment, I can't see a weakness. So coming into actually January, which is something I wanted to speak about, where would you improve, or what kind of players would you sign? So I'll throw that out to you, Hilary. Think.
Well, we all know how I feel about Benjamin Pavard. I mean, as I said in the podcast on Tuesday, but I think that I agree with you. There's so many places where if that player that comes on or that starts is at 100% and the chemistry on the pitch is working and the formation is like right for the team that we're playing, we're a pretty fantastic team that, you know, everyone is scared to play. But with injuries and things like that, you can never be too careful going into the title race. It's going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And with Champions League and everything else. So for me, it's those defensive positions. And so I think a center back or not a center back, but like someone who can play in a few different positions in defense, like Benjamin Pavard, like that. And I saw that Klopp brought someone up from the youth squad in the right back position, but I think it's important to have someone with a little bit more experience. And Pavard is young, but he did just win the World Cup. So he can play right back, he can play center back, and, you know, he can probably play, defensive midfield too. So I just think that it's important to have that injury buffer and to not be afraid to go after players that have that might cost a little money, but they're worth it. Because I don't, if we were going into a Champions League quarterfinal, semifinal without Trent, without I don't know, Matty or Lovren or who have, like, with the injuries that we have right now, I would be out of my mind. Just because who's gonna come up off the bench if something happens in the game? You know what I'm saying? So, and then I don't know, like, all the rumors are swirling that we're still going after an attacking midfielder. I
wonder if you knew one of them. You know, a young man maybe. You know, probably plays in a yellow kit in Germany. Maybe, you know, he sounds like he could be a good player, doesn't he, Tim?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. It just depends on where I stand on that. I think it will really depend on the price. I really feel like if we're signing, I mean, yeah, for example, I would much rather sign Pavard over Pulisic personally, and especially if the price is right. And I think that would be a good addition. I'll be honest, I do not see us signing somebody substantial in January. And if we do, I feel like it would be somebody who is going to join us in the summer and not immediately. That's kind of like my gut feeling. I mean, what I would like to see with that theory in mind is probably get like another center back. And ideally, I would rather probably get somebody who has already played in the Premier League, somebody experienced, just for basically backup and depth purposes, somebody who can come in the games late, like maybe pick up some minutes that way and kind of come in a case of an injury. I mean, my thing is, we know Klopp and how long it takes to implement somebody in the game, like in, our style of football. So I feel like if we sign somebody out there right now, I don't see them coming in and making a big impact. The only player that I can remember off the top of my head that came in and within a very short period made an impact was Ox. But having said that, he was familiar with the league and the base of the league and, the teams he's playing against, players he's playing against. So that kind of gives you an edge over somebody learning the league and the system, whereas he's just learning just the system. So, and I don't see anybody like that we would go after in the Premier League right now. And anybody we get from outside, especially for midfield, I don't see them starting and making an impact right away. So why spend the money unless, there's going to be somebody joining us in the summer. And the way we defend starts up front. So, normally you would say, your forwards, your wingers, or your striker, you can kind of pick up anybody and they can kind work into the system. It's a lot easier to implement a forward into the system than a midfielder or a defender. But I think the way we play, the way the club wants them to play, it even, look at Shaq, it even takes somebody like that a lot longer to kind of learn the system, because there's such a big part of the defending, because our defending kind of starts up front. So, having said all that, would I love to see somebody like come in that can make a big impact, like an attacking midfielder? Yeah. Do I see it happening? No. I don't think getting somebody that's going to be substantial, but we should definitely get someone that's going to provide some backup relief depth in terms of like a center back.
Yeah. For me, I think the Pavard talk. I'm all for that. I think he's probably scored the best goal I've seen in the last 5 years in the World Cup.
That was such a great goal.
Oh yeah,
it was probably second behind the Origi versus Everton, but but no, it was the man. He's very talented. I don't think Liverpool will sign anyone. I think the centre back conversation is a very valid one. The only thing makes me think is that our fifth choice centre back in the summer was Klavan. He let him go. There's a reason why he's let him go, because he trusts the other ones around him. So, and if you ask my opinion, if you go through any team in the league, even most of Europe, and go, their fifth choice centre back, there's not many people who are better than Klavan. And people can laugh at that all the life, but it's almost a fifth choice, not a starting player for Liverpool week in, week out. As a fifth choice, as a man who can come in and do your job, Klavan was perfect. But he let him go. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna ask: is Camacho technically like the fifth choice?
He's like a right winger forward. He's a bit like the Trent situation when Trent started right wing. He brought him in as a right back. He's a bit like that. He is. No, I think that's very interesting. Is the Camacho, because I don't think he's an attacking midfielder. I think he looks at Curtis Jones and thinks, can I get 20 minutes out of him each game? Because this is the other situation that we've got, is with Oxlade-Chamberlain. All the promo shoots that you see, he's walking around, he's running. He is running. Whether people, I'm not saying he's going to be back this season, but he's running. Which tells me he could be back, say, late March, early April. But does he think, do we give Oxlade the end of the season? Can he get 20 minutes out of games out of Curtis Jones? Because as you know, in January, players cost a premium. The prices are humongous for a top player. I agree with him. If we're going to sign anyone, and I think it's going to be till the end of the season that they're going to come. I think, the Pulisic, I think that's definitely end of the season if it's going to be him. The Fekir, I also think on the Fekir, if Lyon had got knocked out the Champions League, they'd sell Fekir in January. I think they look and go, with us in the Champions League. I don't know the draw that they got. I think they got Barcelona. I can't remember. Someone will probably find out for me. So I think if they're in the Champions League, I think you'll want to keep him. And of course, we don't play them games till the end of February, early March. So I know, in the whole, I don't think Liverpool will sign anyone. I know that's what people don't really want to hear. The only thing that Klopp might think is, do we roll the dice because we are top of the league? Potentially, when the transfer market opens, do we roll the dice? I have a chance to win the league if I bring this one extra, and pays the top book. But yeah, I don't see it, to be honest, guys. Unfortunately.
Let me ask you guys this. I don't know what your guys' take on this is. You hear about these young kids getting promoted, coming to Melwood for practice and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Would you guys, at this point, even want to see us roll the dice with one of those kids, starting as a right back or a center back one of these games? Because in terms of me personally, I would rather see someone like Milner, playing right back, or Fabinho playing center back, somebody that is already out there playing out of position, rather than, see one of these kids and roll the dice on them. You're putting like an additional pressure. They're not just starting; they're starting in a title chase. And B, that pressure can lead to mistakes and be costly. Not only you lose points or the game, but you probably lose a lot of the player itself, because these are young kids you can really crush their confidence. I mean, I would personally rather see somebody we already have, especially somebody with experience like Milner or Fabinho and stuff, play out of position to fill a void than roll the dice. I mean, I know what your guys' take is on that. Would you guys rather see the young guy out there? I mean, I know when didn't Trent start against United? I don't know if I remember this right, but
Yeah.
Arsenal, like it was like a big time game, and I was like, wow, that's such a risk. And okay, obviously it's paid off, but would we want to see that again, especially in the title chase? Because we weren't really chasing the title at the time.
Well, for me, I mean, when you say that, like Milner at right back or Fabinho coming down to play like center back or right back or something, that means that then they're not available for their real position. And so for me, I would rather, obviously, it would be kind of a scenario where we've kind of been pushed to make that decision. But in terms of the youngsters coming in, I would feel more comfortable if it was a choice where it's like, this is a thought out strategy of having them there, and Klopp has seen them play and they're ready for like the moment, and it's not that we're pushed into a corner and we have no one left and so we've got to shove them in. I think that there's a big difference between that, and then I mean, I would rather see them start a game and have Milner in midfield and Fabinho in midfield, because it's going to make the new younger players' job that much easier, having everyone else doing their job and doing it well because it's their normal position. So for me, like, unless it was just this kind of nightmare scenario, that's kind of what I would rather see. But I also think that Klopp wouldn't do it unless he thought that they were ready. So.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. Like, it's a tough one, really. I think it depends on the game. So, for example, Newcastle at home, Boxing Day, does he drop 7 players? Well, not drop, does he rest? Does he need the front three? Newcastle at home, Liverpool should be able to start Sturridge, Origi, Solanke. I'm not saying all 3 of them, but I'm saying, 2 of the 3 maybe. You put Henderson centre midfield. Shaqiri hasn't had a lot of minutes. You put Shaqiri and Henderson. Wijnaldum's going to need a break. You put Fabinho alongside Henderson. Then can you put the kid in? Because people, we've got Arsenal straight after. So I think it all depends on the game. If he drop Rafa Camacho right back and goes to Nathaniel Klein, you're playing Arsenal. In 3 days, get yourself, in condition, because it is minutes. Liverpool can start if we should be able to start Rafa Camacho or Curtis Jones. I don't think it's going to be Jones. I think it'd be that's more of attacking, of course. But Liverpool should be able to beat Newcastle with Rafa Camacho. Liverpool should be able to beat Newcastle with Alberto Moreno, and that's scary saying that. But Liverpool, we should beat. I think so. I think the Wolves away in the FA Cup will be the key in this. I think Rafa will play. I think he's going to play 9, 10. I did players like a mad formation. The Sturridge, Origi, Solanke maybe go up front. And honestly, I think he's just going to pull Curtis Jones out. He's going to say these guys are all going to come back in. Don't be surprised if Lazar Markovic gets a game. She's still alive.
Still alive.
But I think if they impress in that game, Liverpool win, and they look talented, I think he might get minutes. And I also think that's going to be key to Klopp's January transfer plans. If Liverpool go out, get beat 3-0, or we look poor, the lads look off the pace, then they might go, oof, I can't really rely on these coming into the back end of the season to come and do a little job for me. So I think it all depends on. I think if he starts Rafa against Newcastle, as I say, and even Moreno, he starts Matip and Lovren, goes to Virgil, you can have a rest. We've got Arsenal in 3 days, which is a bigger game than Man City. Liverpool should beat Newcastle. We should beat Newcastle, I'm saying, at home. So I've got no issue with it, to be honest. If it stops us from spending 50, 60 million on it, because if Liverpool sign a centre-back, say Liverpool sign, Harry Maguire, sign Maguire better than Dejan Lovren. It's very like for like, if he is. I'm a big Degsy guy, but I like Harry Maguire, but it's very like for like to be spending 50 million on a fourth choice centre back. You know, I'm all for spending money and getting players, you know, on our bench to fatten our bench up, but not in January. As I say, I think it all depends on that Wolves game, in my opinion.
I mean, I think, you know, that's why if we sign like a center back, I think we're kind of going for somebody like Lovren, you know, somebody older, experienced, okay with coming to a good team and sitting on the bench and be called upon when needed. I don't think we spend big money. I don't think we should spend big money. I mean, when you look at the future, I mean, we're committed to Van Dijk, Gomez, and Lovren there. And obviously we have Matip as well, who played really well when he was out. So I don't think you want to bring one more big name because, you know, I think we still feel like that's Gomez's best spot with you have a young Trent on the right-hand side. So I feel like, you know, we wouldn't sign or spend big money on a center back. Like I say, I just hope we just make do with what we have. Because especially in midfield, we have a lot of options that we can go with. See, my concern with, you know, throwing a young player out there is, you know, even heck, I mean, you see what happens when sometimes when Moreno is out there, where, you know, if you have, and it's probably worse when you have a young, inexperienced player out there, because you feel like you have to kind of overcompensate for their presence. The kid can do great, but psychologically, you put a kid at, let's say, right back. It affects the winger that plays in front of him. It affects the center back that plays next to him. You know what I mean? And it affects the midfielder on that side just because they feel like on the back there of their head, they kind of have to worry about that. So you're suddenly affecting 3-4 people on the field. It's not like how much of a performance are you losing from, let's say, a Klein start to a Kid start. I think you're just affecting everybody else around them. Whereas when somebody like, you know, Milner's back there, I don't think it affects the confidence level of anybody else on the field because they feel like it's Milner. Or when, you know, if we slide Fabinho back there, you know, and then you put Henderson, you know, or Gini in like Fabinho's spots, I don't think everybody on the field worries about, oh, we got Fabinho as center back, though. I think like we'll have that confidence because, you know, ultimately they're pros. So, I mean, I hope it doesn't come to that. And like you're saying, we see the, I mean, especially if come January 7th, we're ahead of City still. I think, yeah, I would not mind trotting out like an inexperienced squad against Wolves in the FA Cup. And if the FA Cup is gone, the FA Cup is gone. I mean, the only reason I like the Liverpool to stay in those cups is to be able to play these young guys, you know, have Origi out there, have Solanke out there, who we might sell, I guess, or like, I mean, might loan, I should say. But that's the disadvantage of losing out on those. I don't think we get enough playing time for these guys, but I would much rather win the title. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's do you think the difference is for me for the FA Cup? Just all about momentum. You know, keep winning. Just keep winning games. You know, don't even. I know you play your mates 10 changes, but you've lost the game. You know, it's just all about keeping momentum. You know, if Liverpool make 5-6 changes, we stay in the FA Cup, we win the game, of course, great. You know, it also breeds confidence. I just think winning breeds winning. And if you keep winning games, it just keeps pushing, really. But, right, moving on. I don't know if anyone's seen it in the news about Degsy Lovren's been opening his mouth again. My man Degsy, saying Liverpool can go the whole season undefeated and match Arsenal's Invincibles. Now, I love my man Degsy, and it is Christmas. So he might get a little pass, glad tidings and all. But, you know, he says these things, and then it always feels like he's going to make the mistake, which is just lost the game. You know, I don't know what, you know, I don't know what you guys think of that. Listen, I just think the guy, I'm not saying he should keep his mouth shut, I'm not saying that, but what do you expect him to say? No, I think we're going to lose 3 games. You know, I think we're going to, you know, we'll lose 3 or 4. What do you want him to say? You know, do you want him to say, yeah, we're going to lose 3 or 4? You know, and I also think Degsy, he gets kind of tarnished with a brush. So if Virgil van Dijk said it, everyone would be going, oh, yeah, Virgil. Oh, yes, Virgil. I love you, Virgil. If Alisson said it, exactly the same. Because it's Degsy. Oh, Degsy, what are you doing? You know?
I agree. I think it's people are offended because of it's coming from Lovren. Yeah, like I mean, I thought the same thing when I saw that article posted and people's comments and stuff like that. I thought the same exact thing. I mean, if it was Van Dijk saying this, you wouldn't hear any negative comments. You'd be like, "Yeah, that's the confidence we like. My future captain, blah blah blah." That's what you would probably hear because it's Lovren. And I think, yeah, I mean, my initial thought was, people are like, "Oh, he's gonna jinx us." I'm like, if anything, he's gonna jinx himself. That's what I would worry about.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of like a media trick that he kind of seems to fall into a lot easier than some other players. I don't think he didn't, grab a journalist and be like, "Hey, listen to this. I say we go undefeated all year." But, they're like, "Hey, you think you're going to go undefeated all year?" You give maybe a club like politically correct, modest answer the first time. But if somebody's constantly saying, "So you think you're going to go undefeated then? You think, right? And then you're going to eventually be like, "Yeah, I guess it's possible." And then that somehow hits the news as Lovren says we're going to go undefeated. So I know, I think he falls into those media traps a lot easier than some of these other guys. And, he has that confidence in him, like, he is the best center back in the world. So, I mean, it goes with the territory too. But I know, like, I thought people were making too big of a deal of it. I think he just fell into a trap, and it is what it is. And I don't think it would even be an issue if it was, like you're saying, 2-3 other players. It would be like, yeah, that's the kind of confidence we need. When Lovren says it, it's like, "Oh, why is he doing this?" But I personally didn't think it was a big deal. Like, what did you think, Hilary, when you read it? What was your first reaction?
Well, I think that the headlines kind of pull it out of context a little bit. But like, I'm a fan of his, so, and I like, nothing that he said really seemed out of place for me. It just seems that people think he's gonna pull some kind of like you said, like he's gonna jinx himself because he said it. And that kind of bugs me that there's that, like, that people like will feel that way even now when we have just the team dynamic and everything that's going so well. I don't know. But I guess, I mean, I haven't been around for all the times where he's really just like F it up. So I guess I don't have all of the context for those reactions. But yeah, like, at the same time, the double standard is there. Like, if it was Virgil or like someone else saying it, you would never even see any of those comments. So
I think with Dejan, for me, he's a very, very good defender. I think people forget that because he was a sheer mistake. It's because when he makes a mistake, it just gets highlighted so much in the media because he's made a couple of mistakes before. But Dejan Lovren's a really, really good defender. And to be fair, there's not many defenders that are much better than him. Joe Gomez, of course, been brilliant this season. You say Joe Gomez is above him now in the pecking order. And I'm not saying he's the top 5 best defenders in the world. He's not. He's the best defender in his own house, maybe. But he's not. He says that's all I see is what you want him to say. Do you want us to say, "No, we're going to lose to City, we'll probably lose to Chelsea"? We might lose at Goodison Park. The man's he's a confident player. He's looking around the team going, "This is a good side." The man's just played in a World Cup fan. He knows good teams. He knows good players. He's not silly. And matching the Arsenal thing, I've been, of course, brought up around football. The Arsenal Invincible season, to be fair, wasn't even that impressive. Then he got 90 points. Liverpool are aiming for a 102-point season at the moment. That's what Liverpool are on target for if we carry on the run rate we're on. 102 points, they got 90. So if you're offering me now 102 points or 90, what would you take? So you'd rather lose a couple of games and turn a few of those draws into wins. But on the Dejan thing, no, I just think, again, if Virgil van Dijk said it, if Alisson said it, if Salah said it, everyone would be going, "Oh yeah, that's what we want to hear." It's because it's Lovren, and it's been twisted by the media. I'm all for the confidence, to be honest. So I'm cool with it. But,
I mean, you want him to go out to every game like they're gonna win, and yeah, he's not gonna be like, "Yeah, we're gonna lose." I mean, he probably, even if he gave a politically correct answer in the beginning, I mean, like, "Well, we go out there to win every game." They're like, "You think you can win every game?" "Yes, we can." "So you can go undefeated then?" I guess. You know what I mean? It's
of course.
like I say, it's like he just fell into the trap of however the question was asked, a couple of double negatives and stuff, and he says it. And I like I say, when I saw it, I wasn't like that was my initial thought. He's gonna jinx himself, not us, because I'm one of those guys that I do have weird superstitions. I know it makes no difference, and it's like the most idiotic thing, but I mean, I was telling some of the guys on the blog over the weekend, like I take total blame for the goal against United. I know everybody was blaming Alisson, but because I did not give the dog a snack after our goal. So, and when you don't do that, you get scored on. So,
you must have one fat dog
after every goal, and we won the game. So, last year I watched every Champions League game on my laptop upstairs in my office, and guess one game I could not watch on my laptop. The final. And wow. I'm not saying it has anything to do with it, but I'm sure it has something to do with it. So, I mean, I've been stupid Jesus like that, and I'll do stuff that that drives probably like my wife nuts. But like I say, when I saw it, I wasn't like, oh, now the season's gonna go down the drain thanks to Lovren. It was more like, yeah, it is what it is, and you move on. I thought it was, when I started reading the other posts all over the place and people's comments, then I was like, oh, this is like a big deal. Initially, I was like, it was just something I scrolled through, really.
Yeah, again, I'm all right with Lovren, to be honest. I'm all right with most of the Liverpool team at the moment. So, you must have one fat dog, though, man. Your dog must hear you cheer in the house and think I'm getting a snack. Yes.
I'll tell you what. Here's a good story where when we scored that goal against Everton, I screamed so loud and so long. He was really freaking out to the point where when like my wife and my daughter were out, they came right afterwards, like it was the post-game show. So I it was DVR'd, so I played it over to them as he was playing. Like he heard the sounds and he literally had flashbacks. He was like spinning around and stuff. I'm like, so yeah, he's a lucky guy. He's enjoying the season more than anybody, I can tell you that.
He went to Wolverhampton, he scored. He must have thought he was getting a steak. He was like, I'm getting everything. Can't this cheer, I'm getting a medium rare. Put this on the grill. Awesome, man. Hilary, do you have any superstitions?
I don't.
No.
I thought that I did, but I have.
Now that you heard mine, you're like, this is nothing.
The few things that I have, I would wear like certain Liverpool things that I have, and then we would lose. So yeah. it's I don't have anything yet. But yeah, like I said in the last podcast, I've been with teams before that have had winning streaks, and the longer they go, the worse it is when they lose. So they're pretty awesome in hindsight to talk about, like, oh yeah, the Invincibles or like this winning streak or that. But as long as you win the trophy at the end, the streak doesn't matter.
Exactly. Arsenal just went 22 games undefeated and they're not even in the top 4. It means nothing unless you win things. Liverpool, if you offer me now the whole season undefeated, or Liverpool win 37 games this season, and lose one, at the start of the season, of course. As I just said, then the Arsenal one is very tainted, in my opinion. And I don't care if people listen to this. They got 90 points. City got 100 points. And I know what's more impressive. And it's not going under the season undefeated. It's winning football matches, and that's what we're all in it for. It's winning games. I think they drew 12 that season. I think Liverpool, in 2008, 2009, we lost 2 games all season and finished second. It's because we drew 11. So,
yeah.
I think Liverpool, actually, another little, Hilary, I know we talked about before, that Liverpool, the only team to be top at Christmas and not win the league. Liverpool, the only team in English football to lose 2 games in a season and not win the league. There you go.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I heard that one, didn't I? Yeah. But no, so, yeah, I'm not undefeated streaks and things. It means nothing. The main thing for Liverpool is not losing our heads when we lose a game. Now, the one thing that makes me think we're not going to lose our heads is because we've lost the game. We only lost against Chelsea in the League Cup, and then we lost against Napoli in the Champions League. We've bounced back. it shows that we have got this bounce back ability where, you know, we don't let it get to us. We mix it up a little bit. You know, where we lose a couple of games on the bounce, okay, of course, not in the Premier League. The main thing for Liverpool it's not about the pressure, because right now it's not pressure. It's when you're getting into the end of March and the start of April, and you go, my God, it comes again. You got to go again, and Liverpool might be this season on 91 points, 89 points, and you're like, oh my God, you know, most seasons that would win the league. You know, I'm just thinking, if I know I'm looking a bit of ahead here, guys, to the City game. Of course, I'm gonna, you know, that's been a game that as soon as Liverpool go above City, everyone's looked at that City game. Everyone. I watch a lot of English media. That's all they want to talk about is that City game. I don't know. How do you feel Liverpool will line up? Because I have a weird thing in my head right now with the Arsenal game, the Newcastle. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Because in my thing right now, I think he's already picked his midfield for City. I think he's got his team right now, and I think he's going to work around it. Now, what I'm going to ask you guys is, would you trust Fabinho to go again at City, knowing how bad he played against Arsenal away? I know he's a different player now. He looks like he's grown into it. But I do believe that Klopp's picked his team, knowing, especially his centre midfielders, I think he's got them. I think, that's my three. And I think he's picked it 3 weeks ago. So we've got a question going to pose to you, Tim, is that what do you think his three is going to be? And do you think Fabinho's going to be in it?
If he's picked the 3 now, I think that 3 would be our Champions League safe bet 3 of Gini, Milner, Henderson. People who are familiar with City, people who are familiar with the way the City plays, players that had success against last year. And I agree, I think, you know, you would think, I know he always says it's the next game, but in the back of the mind, you would think we're kind of going to revolve the Arsenal game around that. And if he's picked the 3, I don't think we'll put Fabinho there. Of course, this is based on, you know, let's see how, if Fabinho plays again tomorrow,
of course, yeah,
has the same performance that he had against United, because he was brilliant against United.
Yeah.
But you know, City is a different animal. I mean, I feel like Fabinho is a lot better player when we're playing against teams who park the bus, basically. Because he's a lot more physical, he can win more air balls, he's a bit more attack-minded, so when he gets those balls kind of like in the middle of the field where he passed the ball to Mane for the assist, and you know, he can get a couple of dribbles, take some shots. He's a bit more aggressive than Henderson would be in that location, and you know, Henderson is going to take it and probably like gonna look at Robertson or look at Trent and stuff like that. But so I think right now he's a better option when we play Newcastle at home, when we play, you know, Crystal Palace at home. But when we go away, and I think when we play against teams that are going to come at us, especially teams with pace like City, even I would say Arsenal, I think I would rather have the experience of Premier League out there with Henderson. And it will be, you know, Henderson, Milner, Gini. Like I say, to answer your question, I guess, I would say if he picked a 3, it's that 3. That's the 3 that I think he has the most trust in terms of executing the plan overall and not kind of going away too far from the plan to create something. Of course, it depends on how we go there. I think if we go there ahead of City, that's the 3 that you'll see in midfield.
Yeah. Hilary, what do you think? Do you think he's picked his team?
I don't know if he's picked his team, but I think that Fabinho will I would play him, because depending on our injuries, I think that he has more defensive, he has more speed than someone like Henderson. Although I would probably play a midfield of Fabinho, Henderson, and maybe Keita. I'm not sure. I don't know. But because if I think Trent could be back for Newcastle.
Yes, correct.
But we still wouldn't have like Gomez, who's I think our fastest player in general. But just because it's City, and the pace and the speed, and I would feel more comfortable with him there. But yeah, I don't know if he would have it chosen already, just because I think that you could kind of go into like these games so close together thinking who you might be wanting to play, but like when I see that another team has an injury to like, if their like right back or one of their right wingers has an injury, I would, think twice about playing Robertson maybe and play Moreno instead or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really go into Man City, but I think that it's just more injury dependent.
I think he does. I see. Look, I think he knows the team. I think he looks and goes, I'm certain of it. I'm certain he's picked it in his head. And I think he goes, if Liverpool lose to Arsenal, worst case scenario, Liverpool lose the game. Oh, wow. But 2 points behind City still. If, of course, assuming we beat Wolves, and of course, I'm assuming again if we beat Newcastle. And I still think he goes, even if we lost to Newcastle and Arsenal, the 5 points ahead of us going in that game. If Liverpool beat them, we're only 2 points off them. It's still a title race. Liverpool's still in the game. We're still, we're still, I honestly think he's picked him, and I think he goes. I think he gets Wijnaldum in. I think he needs his energy. I think he goes to Wijnaldum. You're only playing 2 out the next 4. I think he might play Wijnaldum tomorrow. He rests Newcastle. He rests Arsenal. I know that's brave, because I think he can afford the Fabinho, Henderson, Keita at Arsenal. Because there's one thing that Klopp always loves is a little redemption story. He always loves a little redemption story of when a players play bad there. For example, Karius, Bournemouth and things like that. He loves a redemption story. Origi when he got injured against Everton. He loves them kind of things. And I think you might look at Fabinho and go, no, I trust you now. You've learned it now, I trust you. So you're playing. And I think you go, I think he was already picked us today. I think you're going to play 3 out of 4. I think Wijnaldum, you're playing 2 out of 4 because you play so much football. I think Shaqiri, you're starting 3 out of 4. And you're not starting City. I think don't be surprised to see Shaqiri go the next 3. And when he goes, but you're not playing City, because I agree with Tim. I think he wants it more secure. Because Liverpool don't need to win the game. City have to beat Liverpool. If we're in the position, of course, that we're in now, City kind of had to beat Liverpool. I think all 3 of us would agree. If Liverpool are 1 point clear and you take a draw right now at City, So I don't think Shaqiri starts that game. I honestly think he's picked the team. But it's going to be interesting, I know that. Before we head off, anyway, let's have a little look at Newcastle. Newcastle at home after Boxing Day. Well, we call it Boxing Day in the UK. I know you guys don't have Boxing Day really, but it's a big day of football in the UK. The 26th. You usually go out with the belly still so full. You go out with the guys. You get in the bar early and you watch about 4 games to back to back. It's the best day of the year in England. This is. And Liverpool win, it makes it a better Christmas all round. So, Hilary, I'm going to start with you. Newcastle at home, Rafa Benitez. It's kind of turned it around a little bit. I think he was the manager of the month in November. So what do you think there? Rafa coming back to Liverpool, and what do you think he's going to line up?
I don't know. I don't really. I haven't watched too many Newcastle games. I just know that they have the forward from West Brom from last year, Rondon. And so I had watched a lot of him before, and then they have Yedlin.
Yes, of course.
I don't see them being able to really, I don't know, keep up with our front. I mean, we'll have to see how the game goes tomorrow, but we had so many shots against United. I feel like everyone was hungry for goals, and I don't know if that was just amplified because it was United. But even Fabinho went a go like 2 or 3 times. So I see us being able to just dominate offensively, and probably it's probably like a 4-goal game for us.
Yeah, I just think with Rafa, I think it's all about depends how he lines up. Of course, the soft spot's always going to be there with that man, but tactically he's a genius. Of course, the clubbies are with the backing. We all know the problems. Tim, do you think you could do a little Rafa tactical genius the day after Christmas and ruin everyone's Christmas, or do you think that Liverpool's have too much for them?
I just don't think he has enough weapons or quality to pay off the tactical genius. You know what I mean? There's only so much he can. I mean, we're throwing so much at you, and especially, I feel like that will be a game that we will be able to have. Pretty much a regular roster going against them. We're gonna have full 5 days. That's probably the advantage of really playing on Friday, playing tomorrow. But so I feel like we'll be able to field a good lineup, and really, even when we use the squad and get some depth, we still have enough quality to open that team up. I feel like that would be a game if he rests anybody, especially out of the front three. That would be the game, and I feel like that would be an easier win. It's not a team that scores a lot, Newcastle. They'll have like 14 goals all year. And I think, most of them are recent anyway, with these like last run they've had over the last month. But so I feel like, that's going to be more of a comfortable home win, unless, we get into one of these games where, nothing seems to go in kind of games. But I'm really, like I say, I'm optimistic about tomorrow's game. I feel like the front three is playing better and better every game. So that's going to start paying off, and I think we're going to start getting some more goals in here. And, hey, nobody's happier than the dog. We'll definitely – I don't – and, that's probably the only negative thing about that to me. It's an easier home game, the Newcastle game. I'm not the one playing, though. I just hope players don't – the players don't see it like that and go out like that. But that's club's job to make sure those guys don't. And I think that's, like I say, the key thing to that has been so far the rotation. Compared to last year and the year before, we always had these big wins and then we really struggled the week after because it was the same lineup that got the win. Whereas tomorrow, we're probably going to see some players that probably maybe did not play the 90 or would not start against United, and against Newcastle it's going to be a different midfield, or maybe we're going to see Shaq up front and stuff like that. I think that really helps because you have 2-3 people on the field that are hungry, and that's usually enough to get everybody involved and the whole team going. So that's been the biggest plus. As long as we don't go out too confident, I think we take care of Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think we have too much for them. I really do. I think I've said that on the last podcast. I think Liverpool back themselves, even if it's on the 75th, 80th minute, at 0-0, and go, still win this game. I think they back it at 1-1. I think they did last week at 1-1. I think they backed themselves with the last 20 and went, we can win this game still. We the only team that really wanted to win the game last week, of course. But before we finish off, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you. I'll start with you, Hilary. Are we going to be top of the league by the time we play City?
Yes.
I like that. Confidence. Dejan Lovren confidence. Tim, are we going to be top of the league by the time we play City?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, not as Lovren-like, but I think so. I guess it really depends on the Arsenal game more than anything else, because I don't see City losing any points unless something weird happens at Leicester or somewhere. But I'm hoping we keep going. And if we can take care of Arsenal, we'll go on top of City going into that game.
Yeah, and the last question I want to ask you guys, which could cause a bit of debate. I'll start with you this time, Tim. Tim, if I offered you now, end of April, 2 points off City, would you take it and roll the dice?
We're 2 points behind City?
Yeah, at the end of April, and we roll the dice going into the last 3 games, 3 games.
I mean, like, do I have different options, or is that like
no? That's the option. That's the option.
That's
because I had a conversation with a friend, and we both agreed that we think Klopp would take it. I think Klopp with 3-4 games to go. I think if he goes, call it 4 games to go, 2 points behind City, I think he'll go, I'll roll the dice. Let's turn the heat up on them. Every time they've won the damn league, they've ran away with it. Let's be fair. Liverpool, when they won under Pellegrini with Liverpool, we ran them close, but they were in control. Last year, no one was near them. I honestly think Klopp will go, we'll turn the heat on them. So what would you think? You're 2 points behind, 4 games to go. Would you take it?
I mean, I'd rather not, but it would definitely still give us a shot. You're basically like saying like it's like a lifeline. I'd be like, I guess I'll take it if that's all you got. But
no, because what I'm saying is that I honestly I'm offering you it now. We're a point ahead, of course, right? We're a point ahead right now. If I said to you, we're getting to the end of April and we're 2 points behind, 4 games to go.
With 4 games?
4 games to go, Hilary, 12 points. We're only 2 points off them. Would you take it?
Their last 4 games are Tottenham, Burnley, Leicester, and Brighton.
The Tottenham game, innit? Let's be honest. And then you're hoping that Brighton in a relegation fight. And you hope, that they've got something to fight for. I honestly think Klopp takes it. I really, really do. And I know, and that's the reason behind it. I think he goes, let's turn the heat up on them. Because every time, let's get this right. The team's brilliant. The team is a phenomenal football side that we're chasing here. Oh, well, we're leading at the moment. Right? We're in a title race with a phenomenal side. Every time the heat's been turned up, they've lost the game. Liverpool done it to them in the Champions League. We've done it to them in the league. They lost the game. Right? Chelsea done it to them. Chelsea, the first 40 minutes, just sat back and went, like, we're going to turn the heat up in the second half, and he couldn't handle it. I honestly think he goes, we'll take that. And we turn the heat up on them. And he rolls the dice.
I mean, in terms of schedule, we definitely have a more favorable schedule compared to them. I mean, we have Cardiff and then Huddersfield, Newcastle, and then Wolves at home. So, I mean, because that almost is like 12 out of 12. But you know what this is going to bring up is we're going to go back to Hilary's goal differential.
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
Y'all want to make fun of me, but we're 2 points behind them. With 4 games to go, it's going to come down to goal differential.
Yeah, because I don't see them like maybe losing points, but not losing. If you said 1 point, I'm with you. I'm on board. Let's go.
Oh, look, you see. Only because you got to look at Liverpool. We have to go to Goodison Park. We have to go to Old Trafford, right? We still have to go to the Etihad, of course. We do have to go. Liverpool still got, of course, City still got to go to Old Trafford. I honestly think Klopp would take it. I am dead certain he'll take it. And again, but I also think that City will go deep in the Champions League. And that's the other thing that we're not thinking about. I think City go deep. I think if Pep goes to the last 4 in the Champions League and he goes, I need this. And he does need it. He needs it more than the league. Whether he wants to admit that or not, he needs the Champions League more than the league. And I think he goes, I'll take that. I'll take the Champions League. Well, hopefully, guys, we're not going to be in that position. But it's a very, very interesting little side note. Would you? So I'm going to ask the people who listen to this. Would you take being 2 points off City with 4 games to go, and will we roll the dice? But anyway, see whatever everyone else thinks about that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to throw this out there. Let's see what people say. I mean, I think because, the 2 points thing is scary just because even if I see City tripping at a game, like getting a tie and stuff, the goal differential will be a thing. And let's face it, it's been getting less and less. So it might be onto something. I know anytime we score, that's all I can think of is the goal differential thanks to Hilary. But
okay.
It's still late.
That's why I say if we go tomorrow and we get 4, then we cut it in half. And if we were on they're gonna go.
Yeah, then okay, I'll give you this. If we're on the same goal difference as well, Hilary, would you take it?
Yes.
He switched the deal.
Yes.
Let's roll the dice. What a better way
I
to win
would
the league.
take it. I would take it, and I would have the number of a good cardiac doctor, cardiologist.
You know
Oh,
what
I'll take
I
it.
was disappointed with was the draw. I was really hoping, City got the easiest draw when it comes to the semifinals in the League Cup.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they would get one of the bigger boys, and if nothing else, it forces them to put a stronger lineup out there, rest less people, and stuff like that. I mean, they can pretty much, because that gives them like a bunch of games back to back, because they're gonna play, they're gonna go to Huddersfield, then right afterwards is the second game and stuff like that. If it was more important and against the bigger opponents, I would think you'd be able to rest less people. But I almost feel like they'll wrap up that round on the first game anyway, and it won't matter regardless of who plays.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I look into that is that they do play the final at the end of February, and the final's always on a Premier League weekend. So no matter what, they're going to have a game in hand on us. No matter what, they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go and play someone midweek. I don't know who they got, but I know it's the last weekend in February usually. It's the League Cup final. So Liverpool might have to have a bit of a lead on them going into that. Of course, we're getting ahead. Of course, we're getting excited. But the way the team playing, why can't we get excited? We've watched a lot of rubbish over the last 5 years. Building up to this moment where, for me, our back is to beat anyone. So, anyway, guys, I think we'll wrap it up there anyway. Everyone have a wonderful Christmas. Glad tidings and all. Have you done your Christmas shopping, guys?
Almost done. Like 85%.
Have you got your Pulisic shirt?
Yeah, that was not on my list. That's probably like top of. I got one for you though. How was that?
That's on Jurgen Klopp's shopping list. He's the top of Jurgen Klopp's little wish list.
You know what? The best Christmas present was Virgil van Dijk last year. 2 days late.
Oh my God, it's Liverpool had quite a nice Christmases, haven't they? To be honest, the last couple, like Mane, I know I should say really happy Mane Day, 2 years today. At Goodison Park. So we had that 2 years ago. We had them Virgil. We've had quite, Liverpool. Don't let us down again. Come on, beat the Wolves, beat Newcastle, beat Arsenal, then go and give them a spanking at the Etihad. Anyway, guys, right, I'm going to wrap this up. Everyone have a great Christmas, and I will speak to you soon.
You too, sir. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.